Now, thank you, Ramona, for stopping by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bucks Lakers will feature last season's MVP, Giannis, versus four-time MVP, thinks he should be eight-time MVP, LeBron James. Giannis, overwhelming favorite to repeat this year with minus 3,000 odds. Yesterday, LeBron was asked if he's motivated this season by winning another MVP. Here's what he said.
Regular season MVP has never motivated me. To be the best to ever play the game has motivated me and has resulted in me being able to be league MVP a couple times. But I've never gone into the season saying, okay, league MVP is what I want to be. I've gone into the season saying, okay, I want to be the MVP of this team. I want to be the best player in the world. And how I approach my game every day, how I take care of my body every day has resulted in things like that.
I want to be best player in the world, but not MVP. Okay, Ramona, do you buy that LeBron is not motivated by the MVP this year?
Yes. Okay. Look, you know what LeBron is saying right there? He's saying, if I have to tell you that I'm the best player in the league, then that's kind of on you. Like, you should just know.
That's a great.
Right? Like, that's LeBron
I'm
saying,
the best
like,
player in the world. How do you feel about me as
right. Like, that's LeBron asserting his, this is still my league statement. And it actually reminds me of about 10 years ago when LeBron and Kobe were in that stage in their relationship, right? It was 2008, 2009-ish, right? LeBron hadn't won yet. I think I got hired at ESPN in and around the time when the sock puppets were promoting the Lakers and the Cavs on Christmas Day, and it was kind of like...
We've tried to forget that.
I know, but I never will. Kobe's league, LeBron was coming. You felt that at the Olympics in 2008. You felt that in 2000. This is what it's like right now with LeBron and Giannis, okay? It's LeBron's league still, but Giannis is coming. And he hasn't won yet, and he knows he needs to win to be that guy, but LeBron is like, I'm still here. I mean, that's what I feel tonight when I watch these two go out.
No, nobody's as precise with the language of basketball as LeBron.
That's right.
He's very careful.
Very careful.
But he's more than careful, because I don't think he's disingenuous. I think he's just precise.
Yes.
Like, by the way, let me just throw a gratuitous kiss out there. No one is better post-game than LeBron James. No one. Maybe no one ever. He's the best. He listens to you. He's engaged. He knows what he's saying. And I believe him. I believe that he missed the playoffs last year. Last year was awful in a way. Now, he came back rested. He's ready to go. He wants to win, period. That's it. At the end of these careers, and I was around this with Michael, they just want to beat you. They just want to win. They've already, where can they put more hardware?
Right.
They can't.
But isn't the MVP award hardware?
Doesn't matter.
Well, but what I'm saying
That's what I'm saying. Where did he put that?
I think it's a matter of semantics, because when you're talking about LeBron saying, I want to be the best player in the world, which absolutely, he said that a lot. He does. When you talk about Michael Jordan, when you talk about these other guys that are in that conversation with him, a lot of folks end up going back to the rings. They end up going back to the awards, because that's
Rings,
the tangible.
not the awards.
That's the tangible.
Rings.
That's the tangible.
There's only one tangible.
So there is discussions that you can have about who you think is better, but if you're able to say, well, he won more MVP awards, he won more championships, that's tangible. That is tangible.
Look, for LeBron at this stage in his career, though, a regular season MVP award,
nothing.
That's empty calories.
It's one tangible,
but
championship.
Empty calories. That's second shelf, okay? Top shelf is the rings.
He still wants it. He doesn't want it above all else. Let me just say.
Sure.
He thinks he should honestly have about 6 or 7.
Right.
Okay. He thinks he should have won one the year Derrick Rose won it. He thought he got penalized for the decision. He thought he should have won 1 or 2 in Cleveland. He thought he should have won the Finals MVP when Iguodala won it. He thought he should have been the first guy since Jerry West to get it in 2015 from a losing team. Now, he's not going to come out and ever say that, because, yes, he wants the Bill Russell trophy when it comes with Larry O'Brien trophy, but he wants it. And the other thing is, this is difficult for him to articulate, but he thinks he should get credit for what he does off the court, like bringing the teams together, rallying them.
He does.
But he won't because you look at Giannis's stats, what the Bucks have gone through.
Oh, no, not in the MVP discussion. You don't get credit for it.
You don't get that. That's for the community system.
You know what LeBron gets credit for? And I cede to you on all these insights with LeBron because you've known him for forever, both of you. But LeBron gets credit for this in a way that no one gets credit for anything. LeBron gets credit for being the conscience of the league, not the face. To hell with the face of the league. You can't control that anyway. LeBron's the conscience of this league. Well, he gets credit for that.
And he wants that.
And he should get it.
And he wants the MVP.
What's the other one too?
You think those bonus points should apply to the MVP vote?
He would never say it, but trust me, he does.
I agree with you.
The Lakers finalized the deal with Dion Waiters for their 15th man. LA's been looking to add a scoring guard off the bench. He'll be playing 3 games for the Heat this season. Ramona, do you think Dion can make a major difference for the Lakers?
Major difference, no. But can he win you a quarter? Can he win you a game? Yes. He has that eruptability, okay? That heat check kind of quality. And
Eruptability.
I
was going to say disruptability to his own team.
Well,
that's the scale.
Okay. But I just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Miami. He had been exiled on Waiters Island for most of the season, but they had so many injuries he had to play.
He was on a boat off Waiters Island.
Yeah, I know.
Bring him back in.
That's right. And he almost beat the Clippers himself. Okay, he comes off the bench with Waiters. Whoa, Dion Waiters, and he was great. And so, he can still do that. And I think the Lakers spent a lot of time with him.
That's why they signed.
He can, but if he has to, the Lakers are in trouble.
For sure.
If the Lakers have to go to the pen to get Dion Waiters in any significant way, then they're in trouble.
Right.
I mean, I understand that, look, there could be injuries. There are reasons you could need to call on someone. But difference in the playoffs?
A quarter, a game?
It could be a quarter, it could be a game, but it's not like, Marc Gasol going to Toronto. Like that was like a that's major.
That's a great
So when you say
analogy.
major difference, that makes a major difference. This is like it could be something. They worked out other guys. They didn't have to sign him.
He's like their 14th choice. They tried to bring in everybody else in North America.
15th man, 14th choice.
They went to the Premier League looking for people before they brought in Dion Waiters.
Guys in Premier League are too short. Now, it's the best, most favorite part of producer Steve's time in the show. They're off in the race for 8th. The Pelicans have lost 3 straight and dropped all the way to 12th in the Western Conference standings. They host the Heat tonight on ESPN and ESPN app. Malika, are we ready to call this a must-win game for the Pelicans?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
And it didn't even finish the question. Yes, it's a must-win, and it doesn't matter who they were playing against or if it's even a feasible win. If you're 5 games out at this point in the season when you were allegedly chasing the Grizzlies, they had one of the toughest schedule, if not the toughest schedule for the remainder of the season, and the Pelicans allegedly had one of the easier schedules. There it is.
Not just allegedly, Malika,
The
literally.
easiest. So, yes, this is a must-win game. You can't afford to slip more than 5 games. 5 games is already a little too much.
They blew that game against the
too
Wolves this week, and they got to get it back.
Yeah, look, they're the worst crunch time team in the league. They're losing so many games at the end, which means you're right there, but you're not figuring out a way to win at the end of games.
Can't get stops.
And that game against Dallas the other night, I mean, that as great as they have looked, they have not closed it, and they have not won these games. And it's not so much that they're 5 games back that worries me, it's how many teams they have to pass. So if it was just them and the Grizzlies, I'd say, you know what, they could go on a run, Memphis could fall off because of the schedule disparity that you talked about, Malika, but you got Sacramento, Portland, San Antonio in front of you. All of
trying
those
to
would
get
happen.
Michael, they do have 7 games left against those teams in front of them, but they pretty much got to win them all.
Yeah.
But I'm going to flip this for a second. I'm not going to call it a must-win. I'll stop short of that. It's a need game for Miami. I mean, look, we have expectations of Miami.
Yeah.
We don't have any of those other. Whoever gets that 8th spot, great. I still think it'll be Memphis. They'll hold on to it. But how about Miami? I mean, they lost 7 of 9 at one point. They've recovered where they won 4 in a row now, and they seem to have gotten themselves together. But there's certain situations you want to avoid if you're Miami. You want to finish as high up as you can. They got a shot at having home court in the first round. I think there's as much pressure on Miami to win this game tonight as there is on New Orleans.
Duncan Robinson, huge night the other night, 9 3-pointers. Coming up, the Sixers finally won a road game last night. All right. But injuries to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are still lingering. We're going to break, but when we come back, the Sixers' cone of uncertainty is coming with us. And here's...
But I think they might be arriving towards the end of this ahead of schedule too, right? Where you have to make some hard decisions.
That was hard truth right there.
Right? I mean, I think they made the playoffs and they were a great story literally 2 years ago. Like the process ended 2 years ago when they got into the playoffs, they beat Miami, and then they lose to Boston in the second round. And it was like, oh, these guys have arrived. And with those expectations came pressure. And with that pressure has come noise. And I think now the question for the Sixers is that noise going to break them apart or make them stronger together? Because I've seen teams do both. I mean, you've covered teams that have done both, especially with LeBron teams in Miami, LeBron teams in Cleveland, here in Los Angeles. I've seen teams that have been the drama team in the NBA. Every day there's something. And sometimes it actually has a way of centering you and focusing you. And I think that's where the Sixers are right now, where we don't know which way it's going to go. This is either going to drive them all apart, and this will be the end of this experiment. We'll see how they all reconstitute next year, or it brings them together and they rise to the occasion.
But Ramona, don't you have to have a forceful figure if you're going to galvanize? And who's the forceful figure?
Joel
Like the
Embiid.
teams you've mentioned, you're right. There's some teams that have historically done that. But they have got a driver in that locker room and somebody who would be willing to start a fight and throw a punch and take one.
Joel could.
Did Joel have that?
Well, that's what we've got to find out. I mean, I honestly
He's
think
throwing some punches or got suspended for something.
Carl Anthony Towns, yeah.
throwing a lot more shade than punches. But I think it's got to be him. I mean, he is the face of the process.
Is Ben going to go along with that?
Well,
Malika, you spend so much time in the Eastern Conference. Like, when I look at what Ramona said here, like, Boston is on the rise. The Heat are on the rise. Obviously, the Bucks have kind of already arrived. They're kind of passing the Sixers. There's some pressure here.
It's just that we've been having the same conversation around the Sixers and their uncertainty for the last 3 years, maybe more. But it's been the last 3 years, and it's just, again, we arrive at this time of year where they should maybe be playing their best basketball, and it's like there are still more questions left unanswered than the ones that are answered. Can they win on the road? Does this Joel, Ben Simmons playing together actually work? Did signing Al Horford, is that helpful? You know, who is the guard that's going to create for all of these guys? And it's the same thing over and over. Isn't that like the definition of insanity?
True.
Same thing over and over.
Here's where I come in and say that there's always time in the NBA, and that you could make the argument that if they finish sixth, which would put them on the opposite side of the Bucks, on the side where the Celtics are, who they've had a lot of success against this year. They still believe that they can beat the Raptors. It's not over.
Brian, I can tell we feel the same way about this. I don't want to write them off.
Tone of uncertainty.
I'm scared to write them off because there's so much talent there that if they pull it together. But you know what? More often than not, when we have that sentence, I don't want to write them off because they have so much talent. Straight in the dumper. And here's the question. We haven't mentioned a coach, right? Now, if we're going to talk about pulling a team together between now and April 15th, the coach had better be somewhere in that equation. And Ramona, what are we talking? I mean, how long is he going to be there?
Well, I think that Brett had a fundamental choice, okay? About right around the trade deadline All-Star break, where you look at this team, it's underachieved. You're still trying to make Joel and Ben work. And he told me he drove up to, he does this every year, he drives up to Portland, Maine, where he's from. And he gets an Airbnb. And I go,